watching this. Could be the morning as far as I know. It's a bit different today because a few months ago I did an article for the website I write for, Games Freezer, on sort of a review on 2 books I'd read at the time. And those 2 books were Tex Murphy, The Pandora Directive, and the novelisation of The Seventh Guest. Nice hard copy cover. So what originally happened was I came across this in a bookshop for just a few quid, and I didn't realise, I've been a big fan of Tex Murphy for years, and I didn't realise that it was actually, there were any novels on it. I just, played a few of the games, Mean Streets when I was a kid, which I loved but didn't understand because I was too young. And a few years ago when it was backed by Kickstarter, Tex Murphy, The Tesla Effect. So I really liked that game a lot, and I liked how it was kind of clearly made for the fans. And I was playing it, and when I realised that there was a novelisation of it by Aaron Connors, I picked it up. And at the same time, when I was sort of just starting to read this, I thought, oh my god, I wonder if there's any other key novelizations of other games I love. So I thought of Seventh Guest, obviously, and I originally ordered it from Germany. I went online on eBay and bought the Seventh Guest hardback novelization from someone in Germany. And when it turned up a week later, it was Seventh Guest on the Philips CDI, which I do not have. So now I'm going to have to buy a Philips CDI, so thanks eBay. So anyway, yeah, nice for the collection anyway. But the difference, my point of this sort of video today, is the difference in quality between these 2 books is astonishing. So I'll go through Tex Murphy first. So Aaron Connors is clearly an author. It's a nice book. It's 300 pages long, and it's kind of it's not tellingly, it's not like a massive font and every chapter's 2 or 3 pages long and ends on a cliffhanger. It's actually really well written, and he clearly understands. I think Aaron Connors came into the Tex Murphy series in the mid-90s, so like the first few he wasn't involved in, and then he came in as a writer on the sort of mid to latter half of the game series. And what's interesting is, whereas the games are quite sort of slapsticky and kind of poke fun at themselves, the novels have elements of that, but they're much more serious in tone. They're much more sort of a dystopian hardball detective, and it focuses more on the cases and the detective work than, obviously, the game is FMV heavy, so it's much more filmic. I really enjoyed it, and I read it through in a couple of days, just in bed, an hour an evening, smashed through it. And I really felt like I understood the character of Tex Murphy a lot more, and I did an interview with Aaron Connors, who wrote the books, and he's currently working on a new one called The Poison Pawn, I think. And what I found was, it was interesting, his take on it, how much it's sort of, or the differences rather, between how he sees the character and how the character comes across in the video games. And they both work. I'm not going to fanboy it and say, well, actually there are subtle differences, and they're both 2 different mediums, and they both work really well for what they do. So this is a good book, and I don't think it's that expensive. The Pandora Directive, released through, I think it's, Proteus Books. If you see it and you're a fan of video game novelizations, it's really cool, because it does differ from the Pandora Directive, the video game, and it's definitely worth treating separately and reading. And then we've got The Seventh Guest, which is probably one of the most seminal games from my personal childhood. I absolutely love Seventh Guest. I love the music is astonishing. I did an interview with George Sanger, which I'll put a link to below. George Fatman Sanger, not Fat. I should have asked him about that, really. And this was, I can't remember how much I paid for this. It wasn't ridiculous, but it's a really nice hardback. And the first warning signs you can see are, it's 186 pages, 200 pages long, and the chapters are short, and the font is bigger. So when I was reading this, it reads like the person who wrote it, 2 people actually, Matthew J. Costello and Craig Shaw Gardner. It reads like they were looking over the shoulder at someone playing the game and just kind of taking down the beats of it. Right, it's Henry Stouff, it's at a manor, there are puzzles, there's 6 guests, we've got to work out the 7th one. We got enough, we'll go off and do it. So how it kind of reads is, there's no exposition. It literally, I mean, if you've played the game, you can follow each chapter in your head, just just because it essentially just explains what's on screen. So it'll say, you know, someone will go into the cupboard and find a puzzle, and it was a bit complex, and then they finish it, and then it moves to the next scene of the game. And it's a harsh comparison, but you know when you read something like a new author or a child has written, and the beat in your head goes sort of, and then na 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 na, and then na 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 na. It's like that. That's literally how it reads. And the only kind of insight into anything beyond what you see in the game is at the very start, where they introduce the characters and give, and I mean brief, like a page of backstory and sort of a clue as to the motives, because obviously they have to, because if they just blindly introduce these characters, that kind of works in the game because it reveals itself later on, you'd just be thinking, who are these people, why are they going to this house? And it is brief, and it finished, it just ends like the game ends suddenly. This just kind of like ends, boom, done, that's it. And it was really disappointing, and it just made me think of what people expect from novelizations of video games, and more interestingly, if a video game is based on a novel, which I haven't sort of done it that way around yet. But it was just to sort of say that if you see this, by all means, if you see it for a few quid and you're a big Seventh Guest fan, chuck it in your collection. Whereas this is worth seeking out if you're just a fan of hardball detective mysteries with a dash of humour. So, yeah, that was it really. I'll be probably doing a few more of these. I've got Hitman Damnation next door to read through, which I'm probably going to do next, and I'm going to see if I can pick up any more. It's a bit of a new thing. I've always been an avid reader, so if you can think of any that you want me to have a goosey at, or any that you would suggest as being particularly good or bad, let me know so I can either buy them or avoid them. Don't send me anything written by Matthew J. Costello and Craig Shaw Gardner, unless this was a blip and the rest of their careers were absolutely stellar. That's it. Bye-bye.